of the Mansfield Shire Council. I'd like to welcome my fellow councillors and council officers and members of the public who have tuned in tonight for this meeting. I do apologise for the late start, but unfortunately we had some technical hitches, which seems to be quite common with Zoom, but we are now here and ready to go. So I will now call on each councillor and ask them to confirm verbally that they can see all councillors and hear the proceedings. Councillor Holcomb.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I can hear the proceedings and see all councillors and council officers.
Councillor Rabi.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I can see all council officers and councillors and hear the proceedings.
Councillor Sladden.
Yes, I can see all councillors and council officers and can hear the proceedings.
And Councillor Webb.
Yep, I can hear the proceedings and see all councillors and council officers.
I'll now ask the councillors to raise their hands to confirm that they could see all councillors and hear them all. Thank you, councillors. Madam CEO, do we have any apologies for tonight's meeting?
No apologies, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Madam CEO. I will now read the statement of commitment. As councillors of Mansfield Shire, we are committed to ensuring our behaviour meets the standards set by the Mansfield Shire Councillor Code of Conduct and Councillor Charter. We will at all times faithfully represent and uphold the trust placed in us by the community. I'll now ask each councillor to confirm their commitment. Councillor Holcomb.
I confirm my commitment.
Councillor Rabi.
I confirm my commitment.
Councillor Sladden.
I confirm my commitment.
And Councillor Webb.
I confirm my commitment.
Item number 5 is the acknowledgement of country. Councillor Holcomb, would you like to recite, please?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Our meeting is being held on the lands of the Taungurung people and we wish to acknowledge them as traditional owners. We'd also like to pay our respects to their elders, past and present, and Aboriginal elders of other communities who may be here today.
Thanks, Councillor Holcomb. Conflict of interest. I'll now call on each councillor and ask them to confirm whether they have any conflict of interest in relation to tonight's meeting agenda. Councillor Holcomb.
No conflicts of interest, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Rabi.
I have no conflict of interest in relation to any of the agenda items.
Councillor Sladden.
I have no conflicts of interest in relation to any agenda items on tonight's agenda.
And Councillor Webb.
I have no conflicts of interest regarding any agenda items.
Thanks, councillors. Item number 7 is the confirmation of minutes. Councillors, can I have a motion in relation to the minutes? Councillor Webb.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Motion being that the minutes of the Mansfield Shire Council meeting held on Tuesday, 18th of October 2022 be confirmed. Actually, Mr. Mayor, I'm not able to confirm these minutes. I didn't attend the meeting. I did read over the minutes, but I didn't attend the meeting. I did watch it, but I can't confirm these minutes because I wasn't there.
Councillor Rabi, could you?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Motion that the minutes of the Mansfield Shire Council meeting held on Tuesday, the 18th of October 2022 be confirmed, noting that resolution 13.3.4 carry forward projects in relation to the operating carry forward funds was incorrect and the amount was $1,443,313 in operating net of income.
Thanks, Councillor Rabi. Can I have a seconder to the motion? Councillor Holcomb. All those in favour of the motion? Motion is carried. Item number 8, representations. We have 2 representations tonight from Ms. Carol Loudon and Mr. Michael Loudon, who are going to represent to item number 18.2, 100 Heighton Lane Development Plan. Item number 10 is the Mayor's report. Councillors, can I have a motion in relation to the Mayor's report? Councillor Rabi.
Yeah, move the motion that council receive the Mayor's report for the period 18th of October 2022 to the 15th of November 2022.
Thanks, Councillor Rabi. A seconder. Councillor Holcomb. Councillors, can I put this motion to a vote? All those in favour? Motion is carried.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, certainly, Councillor Slack.
I've lost everybody from the screen.
So
I
you can hear the proceedings, but you can't see the proceedings.
Correct.
Is your camera turned on?
Yes.
We can
Well,
see
it was.
you.
I was here. I haven't done anything different.
Okay, well, we can see you and we can hear you. Is that the same with all other councillors and officers?
Yes.
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 So in that case, I think Councillor Sladden,
Hang on, I'm just reconnecting, hopefully.
Councillor Sladden, well, I can see you, but I can't hear you.
Can you hear me, Mr. Mayor?
I can hear you now. That's good. And I can see you. Can you see and hear us?
Yes, I can.
Good. All right. We'll
Sorry.
continue on. Don't touch anything.
I'm not. But you sound like Donald Duck. Don't know what's going
That's probably
on.
because it's a bit wet around here. Yeah. I'll go to item number 11, which is report from council appointed representatives. The first committee that we'll have a report from will be the Goulburn Murray Climate Alliance. Councillor Webb.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. A very short report from me today. We did have our meeting a couple of weeks ago. Most of the attendees, unfortunately, were of flood-affected councils, so we had a pretty low turnout rate, understandably so. By way of update, the GMCA is continuing with the shared resource project. They have employed a sustainable subdivision shared resource, a planning officer, to assist member councils with ESD and planning matters. The GMCA has submitted on behalf of all the Victorian Greenhouse Alliances to the federal EV strategy, which is encouraging that federal government is now pushing to have an EV strategy, which is excellent. And we have had an update from VICO, which is the group buying scheme for Victorian councils. For GMCA member councils, they've saved about $272,000 in total, about $3 million in total for 51 councils in Victoria. And there are plans in early works to expand this group buying program to beyond council assets and to community assets. It's in its infancy at the moment, but very encouraging signs so far. And as soon as we can, once our procurement policy is able to, we definitely should try and subscribe to this program if it all makes sense. Every council who has subscribed to VICO has made significant savings in the power, so it'd be worthwhile investigating once we're able to. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Webb. The Mansfield Shire Council Audit and Risk Committee. Councillor Holcomb, do you have a report on that meeting?
Yes, I do, Mr. Mayor. The Audit and Risk Committee met yesterday and was an important meeting for a number of reasons. One, we have a new chairman, Peter Johnson, who's replaced Bruce Potgieter. Peter's been on the committee for some years and is very experienced in the local government sector. And the first meeting he ran last night was a really good meeting. And he'll be a real asset and a great replacement for Bruce Potgieter. We also had for her first meeting a new member of the committee, a new independent member, Jane Watson. And Jane is a previous CFO at Mansfield Shire Council and a previous CEO at VAGO, Victorian Attorney General's Office, where she was for 9 years. So she is also a real asset and to our committee and provides a nice rounding of skills with her strong financial background to the other committee members. There are a number of reports tabled, one of which I thought was really interesting was the VAGO report, so the closing report for the 30th of June 2022 period, and also the financial management letter. The reports for both of those, the report and the financial management letter, were a credit to, I think, Dina Verkat and her community and corporate services team, particularly Dina and Tony Cooper. A lot of work had gone into this, and the results from VAGO certainly were really good results, I thought. And we had a very, I think, a really clean bill of health in terms of our reporting and our financial well-being. So that's a credit, I think, to you, Dina, and your team. Well done. And it also, from a councillor's point of view and from a member of the audit committee point of view, it's a great relief to see a report and subsequent management letter that were that good. So well done.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Holcomb, and I also attended that meeting, and it was reassuring that the internal and external auditors both looked favourably on the finances of this shire and gave them a good tick of approval. So I think the new committee works really well together. I agree that the chairperson chaired the meeting extremely well, and the new committee members, there's a very good balance of skills on that committee. So, and there is a lot of work that goes into these audit and risk meetings. It's a lot of reporting. So, yeah, congratulations to Dina and her team for the work they put into that. So can I have a there are no more reports, committee reports. So could I have a recommendation, please, in regards to item 11, Councillor Holcomb?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move the motion that council note the verbal reports provided by councillors in relation to their representation on external committees.
Seconder, Councillor Sladden. All those in favour of the motion? The motion is carried. Item number 12, interim chairperson, Madam CEO. I'll now hand over the chair of this meeting to you so that you can conduct the next agenda item. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to declare the position of Mayor now vacant, and I'll preside and act as chair for the election of the Mayor and the determination of the mayoral term in the first instance. I'd like to thank Mayor Tehan for his service to our community and council over the last 12 months, and firstly provide him with the opportunity to address council if he would like to do so.
Thanks, Madam CEO. I think that I wrote a fairly long mayor's report, which is in this paper. So if anyone cares to read that, that will probably that will suffice. Look, I'd really like to just thank my fellow councillors for their support during the year. I think as a whole, we get on pretty well. We have some diverse and differing opinions, but generally we can agree and get most things done. It has been a challenging year in some respects. I think coming out of COVID, the availability of contractors, the weather has made it a pretty challenging year. But I think overall we've been able to achieve some good results, some significant results, which are outlined in the Mayor's report. I'd also like to thank the staff for their support to me, the general managers and the EA, Chelsea Young, also have been really good. I'm not always easy to get onto at times, and they've had to put up with a lot of animal noises or dogs barking or whatnot in the background. So I thank them for their persistence and their patience, but I really enjoyed the role, and I've really enjoyed representing the people of this great shire. So thank you very much.
Thank you. So I'll move on to item 14, which is determination of the mayoral term. And I'd like to seek a motion in relation to the length of the term being 1 year or 2 years. Do I have a mover that's prepared to move a motion? Councillor Holcomb?
Yes, I'd like to move a motion that the council determines the length of the mayoral term to be a period of 1 year, and determines the next mayoral election be held at the scheduled meeting of council in November 28, 2023, or 26th of November, November 28, 2023.
Thank you, Councillor Holcomb. Do I have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Rabi? Do I have anyone wishing to speak to that motion? Councillor Holcomb?
I'd just like to thank Councillor Tehan, actually, for the work that he's done over the last 12 months. It's been a tough period of time. And James, you've been outstanding in what you've done. It's a credit to you. And it's, personally, it's been a pleasure working with you. So I could say a lot more, but to me, you've been an outstanding leader and a great person to work with. And that to me sums up one of the reasons why I enjoyed being on council. So thank you.
Do I have anyone else wishing to speak? Councillor Rabi?
I'm going to put my 2 bobs worth in here, James, and I hope you don't feel too embarrassed about this. But you're a very steady leader, and we have, we've had to find a new CEO during your term, which was a lot of work, as you know. Pity you're not a ship's captain, mate, because you'd make a really good ship's captain. And, I've really enjoyed my time under your direction. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Rabi. Is anyone else wishing to speak? Okay. I think I've seen everyone there. Yeah, all in favour? Yep, that's motion carried. Now I have received a nomination for the position of mayor in accordance with council's governance rules, and that nomination I'll seek. The nomination was for Councillor Tehan. Do I have a motion in relation to the nomination of Councillor Tehan as mayor? Councillor Rabi?
Yeah, thanks, Madam CEO. The motion is that pursuant to the provisions of sections 25 and 26 of the Local Government Act 2020, the council appoints Councillor Tehan as Mayor of Mansfield Shire for a term of 1 year. And that to the next scheduled meeting of the later than the scheduled meeting, the 22nd of November 2023, that should read.
Thank you, Councillor Rabi. Actually, it's the appointment as of this meeting. So the wording in the agenda is correct. The date should be 2022 because it's
all right. Yeah, all right. Amended to 2022. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Rabi. Do I have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Holcomb. Is anyone wishing to speak to the motion?
Yeah, well, I'm happy to speak to the motion. Yeah, congratulations, James. You were, again, well deserved. And again, I'm really looking forward to working with you over the next 12 months. And it's going to be a really big 12 months. And for a whole host of different reasons. And the fact that you're continuing on in the role will provide that degree of continuity, which I'm sure us as councillors will appreciate, and I'm sure the executive will appreciate as well. So I thank you for stepping up again for another year. It's a big commitment. It takes a lot of time, and I know you've got a lot of other things on your plate as well. So congratulations on doing that, and thank you for doing that. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Did anyone else wish to speak? No? Then all in favour? Yeah. And I declare Mayor Tehan elected. And I probably should have clarified firstly, because as we had one nomination, we didn't actually have to have a vote. So congratulations to Mayor Tehan, and I'll hand back to him for the rest of the meeting.
Thanks, Madam CEO, and thank you, fellow councillors, for entrusting me for another year as Mayor. It only happens with your good support and your hard work and your willingness to read these large agendas that we sometimes get and to work through them. So I look forward to another 12 months, and yes, hopefully it'll be a fruitful 12 months, but it's a real privilege again to be elected Mayor of Mansfield Shire. I'll now move on to item 16.1, which is the election of the Deputy Mayor. So, Madam CEO, do we have any nominations for the Deputy Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we had one nomination for Councillor Rabi.
Thanks, Madam CEO. If we have no other nominations, then I will duly recommend that Councillor Rabi. No, I'll actually ask for a motion from the floor, please, in regards to the election of the Deputy Mayor. Councillor Holcomb.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move the motion that Council appoints Councillor Steve Rabi as Deputy Mayor of Mansfield Shire for a term of 1 year, no later than the scheduled meeting, 22nd November 2022.
Thanks, Councillor Holcomb. Can I have a seconder to that motion? Councillor Webb. Does anyone wish to speak to that motion? In that case, I'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? Motion is carried. Congratulations, Councillor Rabi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be looking forward to working with you and some of my other fellow councillors, obviously.
Yes, and likewise. Thanks, Councillor Rabi, and congratulations. We will now go to item 17, public question time. We do have one public question, and it's from Peter Broadley, which I will now read out. I would like to know what community consultation was undertaken to propose to lower the speed limit on Old Tommy Road to 80 kilometres per hour. When was this conducted? How were affected residents notified of this proposal? What justification is there for this reduction? Why are all other subsidiary roads connected to Old Tommy Road of lesser design, width, and in some cases dirt construction, a default speed limit of 100 kilometres an hour? Who proposed this reduction and why? I am unaware of any fatal collision on this road in the past decade, yet know of many on roads still posted at 100 kilometres per hour. So the answer to your question, Peter, is that council received several requests for residents of Old Tommy Road requesting for the speed limit to be reduced from 100 to 80 kilometres an hour between the Broken River and Whitfield Road. These residents expressed concern for their safety when accessing Old Tommy Road via their property driveways. As part of the consultation in relation to speed reduction, council officers sent out over 100 letters to residents along the road itself. In response to these letters, council received 18 in favour and 2 against the decrease in speed, which demonstrated 90% support of the proposal. Victoria Police also supported the change. Note that the speed changes are governed by Department of Transport, and council can only submit the application to Department of Transport if the requested change is based on speed zoning guidelines. The final decision is made by the Department of Transport, and an application will not be approved if the road does not warrant a speed change. I hope this answers your question. Okay, item number 18.1 is the Chief Executive Officer's report. Councillors, do we have any questions or queries in relation to this agenda item? Councillors, can I have a motion in relation to item 18.1? Councillor Sladen.
Thank you, Mayor. The recommendation is the council receive and note the Chief Executive Officer's report for the period 18th of October 2022 to the 15th of November 2022.
Thanks, Councillor Sladen. Can I have a second to the motion? Councillor Webb. Councillor Sladen, do you wish to speak to the motion?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Councillor Webb.
No, thank you.
Any other councillors wish to speak to the motion? In that case, I'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Item number 18.2.1 is the 100 Highton Lane Development Plan. We have 2 deputations. The first one looks like we do have Miss Carol Loudon. Carol, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can, Carol, I can hear you. Welcome to the meeting. I can't see you though. Is your camera on, turned on?
Let's see. I'm not sure. Does that matter if you can't see me?
No, not specifically. Can all councillors hear Miss Loudon?
Yes.
Yeah, so we can all hear you. Now we can see you. Hello. Welcome to the meeting.
Thank you.
Miss Loudon, now you're speaking to this agenda item 18.2.1, which is the 100 Highton Lane Development Plan.
Yeah.
You what will happen is we'll give you 3 minutes to say what you'd like to say, and then the opportunity for councillors to ask you questions in relation to that. I also believe, have we got Mr. Michael Harrison speaking as well?
Yes. Yeah, he's here in the background.
Is he going to speak separately, or are you sort of speaking together?
No, just only he might answer some questions if the council has put some questions to us. He's not far, he's right here.
Okay, all right, no worries. So we'll if you kick off, we'll give you 3 minutes, and I'll let you know when you're getting close to that time. Thanks.
Sure. So our main concern is that this particular development company, I think it's called Urban Design, has not acknowledged or responded to our concerns. And we don't actually have any confidence in the company that it would be responsive or negotiable. As their rep said, we can put 150 houses in here if we wish. If this plan is approved, as is, ourselves and 3 other homeowners will have a very busy road 10 metres from our bedrooms, with no interest thus far by the development company to alleviate the massive loss of amenity. So there'll be hundreds of traffic movements day and night as the result, not just this development of 70, but the ones that join on as well. And also the native vegetation and gum trees on our side is likely to be affected by the road cut. The plan shows no acknowledgement to the proximity to bush reserves, and it's fully small block urbanised. The abundant wildlife that currently visits our Highton Lane gardens will be decimated. A green space of this size should be seen as more than a housing opportunity. More green space should be provided within keeping with our rural town. Once it's gone under concrete, it's gone forever. Residents of Highton Lane, that was the October petition of 80 signatures, request that council lobbies for other entrances to this multi-lot subdivision, which will join on to others, and that a safe new Malcolm Street intersection would be planned and funded for. Mansfield has a proud history of protecting our uniquely rural heritage. We ask that councillors consider whether this development plan is appropriate on Mansfield and the current homeowners of our much loved Highton Lane. Regards, Carol and Michael. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Loudon. Councillors, do we have any questions for Ms. Loudon? Councillor Rabi.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you. Thanks, Carol, for turning up tonight and saying your bit. We certainly listen to community. I just give me an understanding on how long that you've been living in Highton Lane, please.
Just since this year. We're residents of Mansfield of 30 years and know the district really well.
Sorry, just trying to understand. So you moved to Highton Lane this year?
This year, yep.
All right, okay.
I don't think it's relevant though.
All right, yeah.
We realise it was urban zoned, but yeah, not the extent of what this plan is.
Yeah, okay. And I'm trying to understand your I think your concern with native trees. In the report that we have in front of us, it says that there aren't any native trees, old native trees. The only one there is dead. That's red gum.
Yeah, there's a couple. There's a few. In that summary, I was referring to the native vegetation on our side, where the new road cut will go. It is likely to affect our native vegetation. That's just a small thing. That's just one of our concerns, really. Yeah. If you had a busy road being put 10 meters from your bedroom, I think there's something between us and that, and there's nothing on the books at all being offered. A vegetation barrier, fence, nothing. Yeah.
One other thing, it's not a question, but it's, I suppose, a response to your question for us that you sent an email to us the other day asking us whether we had been down there and had a look. And
just hoping that you had a good idea of the.
Yeah, I certainly have. So just to let you know that I've been down there and had a look.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Raby. Councillors, any other questions for Ms. Loudon?
No.
Councillor Holcomb.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. And thanks, Carol, for coming along. And I too went out and had a look at the site as well. So I've got a reasonable understanding of it. I was interested in your comments that you don't think it's an appropriate development. My understanding is this was zoned, and Ms. Crane, if you want to correct me if I'm wrong here, but it was zoned residential back in 2009, something like that.
Yeah.
And originally, how I understand it, looking at some of the early documentation, there was a subdivision there for 200 homes. There's now 70 homes at a time when we have a real housing shortage in this town and a real problem with affordable housing and housing in general. Can you just elaborate on why you think the development's not appropriate?
Well, because once we lose the rural feel of Mansfield, it really is gone forever. And yet to have the plethora of small blocks in here, I wonder why the owner of the land didn't consider something, even though it's urban design, something which is more in keeping with the Mansfield area. For instance, a park or some decent sized blocks where people will have gardens. It's more likely to be full of, investment homes and Airbnb than, people who want to maybe grow a little bit of their own food and have a native garden.
And can I just say something here? We've spoken to Ash, and he says he wants to have affordable housing for young people, tradies, new home buyers. But what got me was he said he's going to subdivide it slowly to maximise his profit, obviously. If he did the whole thing at once, it would actually probably afford better pricing, but he's going to slowly just drip feed it so the price goes up and up and up. So to answer your question of we need affordable housing, I don't think that's the way to do it. Just a small little fact.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Holcomb. Any other councillors wish to ask any questions? Councillor Raby.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. And I suppose this is a question to our acting GM of Infrastructure and Planning.
Is it relevant to Councillor Raby? Just wondering if it's relevant to a deputation.
It is relevant to Carol's comment about the size of blocks.
Sure, thank you. Okay, no, proceed.
So I'm just making sure that I'm right in that the smallest block is 737 square metres or so, and the average blocks, the average of the whole development would be around about 1,000 or 1,050, with blocks as large as, what's the largest block there? Can you tell me?
I thought it was 1,500.
Yeah, there's a couple of larger ones. Yeah. On the whole, I'd say the average was maybe 850.
So,
Melissa, sorry, you're on mute. Are you able to clarify Councillor Raby's query?
Yes, so certainly through you, Mr. Mayor. So the development plan provides more generally for a lot layout in terms of the expected lot sizes within a development. It also provides for approximately 72 lots, which is what they've been which they've proposed. The lots do range in size between 700 and 1600 square metres. I haven't actually worked out what the average would be, but when lots are that size, yeah, you do end up with the higher average. When we talk about high density housing, it's worth considering that the general residential zone, which this land is, which has been there since and has been zoned that way since 2006, does allow for small lots, much smaller lots, even under 300 square metres. So the 700 lot minimum tends to be what in planning is considered not quite low density, but certainly not high density housing. It's probably on that lower end in terms of density, and certainly 1600 square metres is considered low density. And the provisions in the planning scheme do talk to the ability to have gardens and the like. So there are requirements for a certain amount of garden area to be provided with any development. So in this instance, blocks that are a minimum of 700 square metres are considered under the planning scheme to have enough room on there to have a house, shedding, hard stand, and still sufficient area to provide garden areas in accordance with the planning scheme. So I hope
Thank
that
you.
answers the question.
Yeah, it does. It clarifies. Thanks very much.
We've known all that for a long time. You know, we've had quite a few meetings with Melissa and that, and that's not really the issue for us so much. It's I think mostly for us, it's the road noise, the extra traffic in Highton Lane, the turn off in and out when there's trucks roaring up and down. Highton Lane is still a shit fight. We can't even put our bin out on a flat piece of ground because the road's no good, and you know, the bin falls into the drain all the time. So I think mostly, well, my concern is the road issue and the car issues. There's going to be so many extra cars and roads, and okay, there's supposedly the new Highton Lane development, but there's no sign of that to come yet. So I don't see how you can put all this, get this started, whilst the road is such in bad condition. And the intersection into Malcolm Street is one of the worst intersections of all time. Potholes there, really rough. The alignment with Rose Street, when people are coming on the Buller Road, turning into Rose Street, and the people turning into Highton Lane, nobody knows what to do. So I think these issues have to be done before you start adding another 300-400 blocks into Highton Lane, you know, overall, not so much just our subdivision at the back.
Councillors, any further questions? No, in that case, thanks very much, Carol and Michael, for coming along and for doing your presentation and for answering questions. And we will now just proceed back to the general meeting. And councillors, can I call on you to, have we got any questions or queries of council officers now in relation to this item? Councillor Sladden.
No, sorry, Mr. Mayor, I was prepared to move the recommendation.
Any
I
more
don't have
clarification? Yeah, no worries. Okay, Councillor Holcomb.
Yes, I just have a question of, I'm not sure if the General Manager of Infrastructure or the CEO, just with respect to Mr. Harrison's comments about the Highton Road itself, or Highton Lane itself, the roadworks. I mean, Council's fought hard to get that grant that's we've got for that whole Highton Lane, Buttercup, Rifle Butts Road area and extended. When do you think that will likely kick off in terms of we'll start work on that? Because I'd imagine that will start before the development will start. Is that fair, or?
Happy to address that through Mr. Mayor. It certainly will be that section of that grant. We would prioritise Highton Lane without a doubt. As I understand it, there'll be a 2.5 to 3 year timeframe for the total project. But we would expect, we are expecting to receive a funding agreement. We haven't received it yet, but we are expecting to receive that in the coming months. And we already have, as I understand it, a design prepared for Highton Lane. So we will be able to get moving with that relatively quickly once we get the funding agreement from government. So I would expect definitely, in the early part of the program, approximately the next 12 to 18 months at the most.
Seems a long way away.
Thanks, Councillor Holcomb. I've just got a question. Sorry, Councillor Ravi, you had a hand up.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I just want to get clarification. The 80 signatures on the petition that Carol mentioned says here, if council approves the plan in October to funnel new urban estates of 200 plus houses via one single Highton Lane entrance, is that the signatures were against that? And then I'm reading in the report that there was only 20 objections, and it's a very good report, by the way, Melissa. And then the objections have more or less placated, I would say, 90% of the people, because we've only got Carol and a partner here tonight. There's no one else talking to it. Is that a fair summary of this report?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. We've done a lot of work to try and help people understand the implications of what the development of this land will do. I do recognise, particularly for the Loudons, that they are adjoining it, so the impact is probably most felt by them, and we do recognise that. But the planning considerations that we have to undertake in accordance with the Planning and Environment Act don't allow us to put a predominance of that position over the broader development of the land. So when we look at it on balance, yeah, a lot of the concerns are about existing infrastructure, which we are looking to fix as a council, but we can't hold up an application that we have in front of us because it hasn't been fixed yet. So from a planning perspective, that is certainly the case. And it doesn't mean that we don't take the concerns that the community has in relation to these matters very seriously, because we do. We understand that Highton Lane needs work, which is why the impact route highlighted as an important linkage that we needed to do work on. And we're excited to be able to get that funding. And in addition, we are aware of the intersection issues in relation to Mount Buller Road and Highton Lane, and it is something that we are looking to address. But again, it's not something that we can hold a development like this up for until that is resolved. Doesn't mean we won't be looking into it, because we certainly will. We take those concerns very seriously. And I think that because we've made that very clear, that may be why some of the other objectors, I don't want to speak for them, but why they haven't wanted to present today.
And one other is an observation, and I want to make sure I'm correct on this. So the 200 plus houses are down to 70 new lots, and there will be an entrance off Highton Lane and an exit onto Crosby's Lane. Is that correct?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, there is. So yes, this development plan that we're considering tonight, that we're proposing for council to consider tonight, is for 70 lots with an entrance and exit to Highton Lane and the exitability from out to Crosby Lanes for the later stages of the development, once that side of the development's been constructed.
Thank you. That's it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Rabi. Ms. Crane, just a question in relation to capacity of infrastructure. It mentions in the report that Highton Lane will also be upgraded as part of the impact route funding, supported by development contributions. What are those development contributions, or what would we expect there?
So, Mr. Mayor, the development plan includes a provision for a negotiated contribution from the developer towards the infrastructure that's not directly tied to the site. So for Highton Lane in particular, what I would call the effective frontage of Highton Lane. So not necessarily the active frontage where the driveway itself comes in, but where the effective frontage of Highton Lane, we are looking to, through the planning permit process, the development plan will allow for us to negotiate a contribution to the works that we have to do in that space. So it will be to support the council contribution towards that Highton Lane development itself.
Thanks, Ms. Crane. Any other questions, councillors? Queries? In that case, no. Can I have a motion in relation to this agenda item? Councillor Sladden.
Thank you, Mayor. The recommendation is the council approve the 100 Highton Lane development plan applying to the land known as 100 Highton Lane, Mansfield, Lot 33 on plan of subdivision 135575, certificate of title volume 09436, folio of 619, Lot 34 on plan of subdivision 135575, certificate of title volume 09436, folio 620, general in accordance with the development plan attached to this report.
Thanks, Councillor Sladen. Do I have a seconder to this motion? Councillor Rabi. Councillor Sladen, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mayor. This Highton Lane development area, as the Ms. Crane's report states, since 2006, it has been zoned a general residential zone. And also in 2012, 2013, council undertook major consultation and strategic work. And I would like to acknowledge former strategic planner Dawn Bray and the work that she did with the Highton Lane development plan. Now, this, that was 2006, then 7 years later, and here we are, approximately 9 years later, still trying to work out how to develop that area. Now, it is zoned residential. It was always going to be developed, and the number of owners that that make up that whole section of Highton Lane have been waiting for some action to happen. This will increase our housing supply. Yes, council cannot enforce on a developer in relation to affordable housing. What is affordable today may not be affordable tomorrow. So taking all that aside, this is a major development which will be enhanced by the success of the impact funding, which has been noted this evening and has been widely publicised. In relation to the intersection, that's a Regional Roads Victoria Road, is Mount Buller Road, and council over the years have continued discussions with what was Vic Roads, now RRV, to address that intersection. We know it's a bit of a dog's breakfast, and it will, hopefully, with the impact funding and the work that is scheduled to do there, that Regional Roads Victoria will come to the party and assist with that intersection. In terms of the development that we're discussing tonight, a very forensic look at the development. From my point of view, there is ample open space that is there. It is not going to be just house upon house upon house. So the open space is there, and the fact that Ms. Crane and her department have worked with the developer to gain that exit onto Crosby's Lane is a testament to Ms. Crane and her staff. And I know it's been difficult with the number of objectors that were in the first instance, but I believe that the majority of those concerns have been allayed, and with the any conditions that may follow, I believe this to be the start of what will be a major development of Highton Lane and actually get it into the whatever century we're currently in. That's it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Sladden. Councillor Raby as seconded. Do you wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thanks to my fellow councillor, Councillor Sladden. I've been in Mansfield a long time and know that the Highton Lane always had an infill development potential. What I would like to say, and I'd like to address the community, if you're looking at this, there are ways to go about feeling upset about development. One of the ways not to go about it is to leave signs up that are totally inappropriate, using language that is despicable in my view. I won't go any further than that, but I will say that we have a fantastic planning department, and if you reach out and speak to them, they bring these matters back to council. We become aware of them and we can work together for a better outcome. That's what our community, our country community are all about. And I think that this is maybe a lesson for a lot of people. You know, obviously there were 80 people that weren't happy, then there were 20, and now there's probably not many. I think that the developer will work with the community and the residents around this. He is a local person. He's a 5th generation local. He's not from Melbourne. He lives here with his family. His children go to school here. So, look, I won't go on about the disrespectful manner of putting up signs. I hope that we have more. We just don't go down that track anymore, and we all have respect for each other. Thank you for Carol for coming in and speaking her mind. We did listen to you, and thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other councillors wish to speak to the motion? Councillor Webb.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Very eloquently put by Councillor Sladden, so I won't elaborate too much more on what was said already. 70 more houses is a huge win for the community in a time where it's almost at crisis point, the housing supply in Mansfield. I don't have to tell anyone who's looking for a rental or looking for a house to purchase right now how difficult it is. We've had a massive influx of people to our community over the last 2 years. These are people with skills, people who are willing to work and fill vacant positions, and they can't physically find a home. I agree with the points made around affordable housing, but more supply, regardless of what it is, will have a downward pressure on prices eventually. So I'm very much in favour of this, and I'm glad to see it come up to council tonight. Thank you.
Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Holcomb.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I'd endorse all the previous comments, and for me, personally, it ticks all the boxes in terms of a residential development that we want to do. It's been zone residential since 2006, 2009, whatever the time frame was then. So it's been zone residential for a long time. It's no surprise to anyone. There's a range of allotment sizes of between 700 square metres and 1,600 square metres, so a great variety of different blocks of different price points. There's 5,400 square metres of open space, which is the size of a soccer field, that's what the locals want in there, and we're short of playing fields in this town. So there's a lot of open space being allocated to this particular area. We've had confirmation that the existing services can handle the increase in residences, so there's no complaint from the agencies there. no vegetation issues, which is most unusual for a lot of the developments that come forward, except for one standing dead tree. And also we're using how I understand the local developer that's developing this is, as Councillor Raby said, he's local, responsible, he loves our town. So from a development point of view, I think we're going to be in good hands there. There's very few things that council can do in addressing this affordability issue. There's not many levers we can pull. One of them, and perhaps the only one, is supply. And this is starting to address the supply issue, which we can control. We can't build houses or anything like that. We can control the supply. And so this is, as has been mentioned before, one attempt to address the housing shortage. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Holcomb. Given that there's no more speakers to this motion, I'd like to put the motion to a vote. All those in favour of the motion? The motion is unanimously passed. Moving on to item 18.2.2, which is the planning scheme review. The responsible officer is Strategic Planning Officer Oscar Yenkin. Is he coming in tonight, Madam CEO? No. Okay. So acting GM of Infrastructure and Planning, Melissa Crane. Councillors, do we have any questions or queries in relation to this item? In that case, can I have a motion in relation to this item, please? Councillor Raby.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Motion is that Council 1 adopt the Mansfield Planning Scheme Review 2022 pursuant to Section 12B(1) of the Planning and Environment Act 1987. 2, submit the Mansfield Planning Scheme Review 2022 to the Minister for Planning as required by Section 12B(5) of the Planning and Environment Act 1987. And 3, prepare a planning scheme amendment to implement the Mansfield Planning Scheme Review 2022.
Thank you, Councillor Raby. Do I have a seconder to the motion? Councillor Sladden. Councillor Raby, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Only insofar as much to say that this is a very easy, report to read, and especially coming from Delwip, and the author is Bonnie Crow. So I'm going to have a shout out to Bonnie Crow from Delwip. You made one councillor very happy. It was a very easy read. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Raby. Councillor Sladden, as seconder, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Mayor. Just in acknowledging the work of Ms. Crane and again her team. Bonnie may have written the report, Councillor Raby, but it was our people who did all the work. So well done to them. Look, the review really is, as the report indicates, it's a health check. The review found that the current scheme is performing fairly well despite all of the pressures that the council is feeling with development and influx in population, or growth in population. I do look forward though to the forward strategic work, and I look forward to further discussion on maybe prioritising some of those items for strategic development in the next couple of years. Sorry, Ms. Crane, I just had to get that one in. So yes, I have no hesitation in supporting Councillor Raby's recommendation. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Sladden. Any other councillors wish to speak for the motion? No. In that case, I will put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? Motion is carried. Item 18.3.1 is the Outlying Community Infrastructure Fund Assessment Panel recommendations. Do we have an officer coming in for this? We do. Coordinator of Community Development, Claire Berghofer. Claire, can you hear? Can you hear me? Claire, you're on mute if you can.
I can hear you. I hope you can all see and hear me.
Hi, Claire. Yeah, I can hear and see you now. So yeah, we're on item 18.3.1, Outlying Community Infrastructure Fund panel recommendations. Councillors, do we have any questions or queries of Ms. Berghofer? Councillor Webb.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. And through you, Mr. Mayor. Claire, I'm seeing a pretty good quality of applicants here to this fund. Do you think that the community groups in general are starting to get a bit more organised and upskill themselves in order to apply for this sort of funding? Is that your general feel?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think the community is very engaged in bettering their own areas, especially our outlying communities. You know, they've been through a pretty tricky time through the pandemic and floods, and they are really coming together as communities to better those areas. So they've all had positive feedback with regards to this grant.
Wonderful, good to hear. Thank you, Claire.
Councillor Holcomb.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Claire, just did the number that responded, did that surprise you? Too many, not enough? You thought we might have got more? What was your thoughts prior to putting this out? Did you think you'd get more than that or less? Or?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, and through you, Mr. Mayor, can be a little difficult to answer with grants because they very much depend on what is happening in those communities. But I believe we received quite a good amount of applications for this grant. There are some guidelines with the grant that meant that some individuals just would not be able to apply. And their project would not suit. So we see applicants that fit within our guidelines. We still couldn't fund all the applications that we received, but we can fund a majority of them.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions or queries, councillors? No, in that case, I will, thanks, Ms. Berghofer. I'll call on a motion. Councillor Sladden.
Thank you, Mayor. The recommendation is the council receives the assessment panel report for the Outlying Communities Infrastructure Fund 22-23, endorse the Outlying Communities Infrastructure Fund assessment panel recommendation to A, fund the Bonnie Doon Community Group Incorporated for $20,000 to the Billy's House project. B, fund the Jamison Art and Gardens under the auspice of the Jamison and District Historical Society Incorporated for $10,000 to the relocation of Jamison Art and Gardens to St. Peter's Jamison Anglican Church. And C, fund the Merton Community Planning Committee under the auspice of the Merton Recreation and Memorial Hall Reserves Incorporated for $20,000 to Merton Community Skate Park.
Thanks, Councillor Sladden. Can I have a seconder to the motion? Councillor Raby. Councillor Sladden, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Briefly, Mr. Mayor. Firstly, acknowledge the work of Ms. Berghofer and her team and the assessment panel, and thank them for their work on this. I am aware that Ms. Berghofer did work very closely with all of the applicants, that they were very, very grateful for her assistance with that. Look, I'm really pleased with this fund. I'm sorry that it did get cut from 100,000 down to 50, but let's see what happens in the future. It's a very worthwhile fund, and they're very worthwhile projects, considering in the instance of Bonnie Doon and Merton, who are both in various stages of developing a structure plan. And so that, I'm sure, will, the results of that plan, when they're adopted, will see an increase in applications to hopefully realise some of those ideas that are in those respective structure plans. So thanks to all the applicants, and thank you, Ms. Berghofer and your team, for your work on this. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Councillor Sladen. Councillor Raby, a seconder. Would you like to talk to the motion?
Only insofar as I'd like to say to the Matlock Cemetery Trust, being probably the most outlying community that we have, I was personally happy to see your application. I know that you said that it came in late. I know Ms. Berghofer probably worked with you with that. Don't feel despondent. There will be hopefully another round. So we'd love to see you come back again, and maybe I'll go out to the cemetery and sit under the rotunda. Now, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Raby. Any other councillors wish to speak to the motion? Councillor Webb.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just a few comments. Incredibly excited to see all three of these projects get up. Each of these community groups have gone leaps and strides in the last 2 years that I've been on council, for sure. So it's great to see them getting really organised and putting in these really well thought out grant applications. Particularly the Merton community. They've been working hard as a community group, and they've been actively pushing council to develop their community plan. Both Councillor Sladen and I were at the community meeting when this kicked off, and it's great to see one of the items on their wish list actually commence with this fund. So well done to Merton, and well done to the other community groups as well.
Councillor Holcomb.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, well done, Claire, in organising and coming down to that recommendation. It was an easy to read and really concise recommendation, so thank you. I actually really endorse what Councillor Sladen said in terms of the importance of this fund. It is really important, and from a personal perspective, I just like the fact that these are all community driven. It's nothing to do with council, it all comes from the community. And certainly in my experience, just in being on council the last couple of years, the really successful projects are when the community is on board and driving it themselves. So I just say well done to the people, the groups that applied, who got the grants, and for any other future group down the track, please put them in. Please put your applications in. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Holcomb. There'll be no more further speakers, so I'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour of the motion? Motion is carried. Thanks, Ms. Berghofer, for your attendance. Item 18.3.2 is the Targa permit. Responsible officer is the Economic Development for Tourism and Events, Gareth McDonald. Gareth, welcome to the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yep, welcome along. Targa, councillors, do we have any questions of Mr. McDonald? Councillor Holcomb.
Yeah, just a couple of questions, and welcome, Gareth. Gareth, a couple of questions. How many years have we been doing Targa? How long has this relationship been going?
It's Well, with COVID delays and pushbacks, we're looking at about 12 years.
So 12 years. So they've been operating here for 12 years.
Yeah, and then prior to that, it was a Mount Buller Porsche rally, which was then sort of morphed into Targa. So I'm not 100% sure how long the Porsche rally was going, but yeah, it's a pretty long-standing relationship.
And the current term, when does that expire?
So the term of the contract, was expired last year. However, with good faith in the contracts, looking at rescheduling races. So there is a contract period, but it is for the amount of races, and looking at the structure around those with various things around COVID and yeah, things where we've had to reschedule events.
I didn't realise it expired last year. Is that right?
Sorry, I'm getting confused. This year being 2022, but then with the event proposed to move to Feb
23.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And when will we hear from Motorsport Australia whether the ban that they're under has been lifted?
So I'm not sure if ban is the right term. I don't think they've been banned from operating as such. They've had permits stopped pending review. So that is, we're aiming to have, well, hopefully within the next week or so to hear back from that report. There has been a submission given to Targa to view and offer their input and feedback on it. So it is in its final stages. So I would hope to hear back from that within a week or two.
And what's the last date that we as a council can live with in terms of when we hear back from them and give us enough time to go ahead with the planned date in February? What's
So for us it's a bit of a domino effect we're the last domino to sort of fall into place there. So we have to have the permits from Regional Roads Victoria in order for us to basically show our support for that as well. So it is conditional on Targa having those permits from Regional Roads Victoria and Motorsport Australia. So they have started the process of their applications to Regional Roads Vic. So we're just waiting to hear how that's tracking. As far as the latest we can go, I mean, we were pretty late last year in the delays. I mean, within, reason of informing the public of any road closures would probably be the biggest impact, which I would sort of look at a month's notice as the latest that we could do that. In my opinion, and in a planning opinion to let people know. So I'd be looking sort of, that sort of 10th of Jan sort of area. Right.
And just finally getting back to your point about that we've been in with Targa for 12 years. So we've basically, this council's contributed $500,000 to Targa over the 12-year period. Would that be a fair comment?
Yep, basing on that. Yep. And then, obviously with that, we've received a return on that as well.
No, I'm more interested in what ratepayers are committed. Yep, thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Mayor. Any other queries, questions, councillors? Okay, can I have a motion in relation to this item, please? Councillor Sladden.
Thank you, Mayor. Recommendation is the council issue a conditional permit for Targa High Country, subject to Targa obtaining permits from both Motorsport Australia and Regional Roads Victoria for an event to be held in Mansfield Shire on the 10th to the 12th of February 2023. That should read, with an amended event format that does not include a street stage. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Councillor Sladden. Do I have a seconder to the motion? Councillor Webb. Councillor Sladden, do you wish to speak to the motion?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As Councillor Holcomb stated, this has been going for over a decade. It is a signature event in the Mansfield Shire. When you look at the cost of $48,000 per year, if you break that down over the year, over 52 weeks, It's about $800 a week. If you look at the number of businesses in Mansfield, which is roughly around 400, of which about 90% of those are accommodation, tourism, hospitality related, it works out to about $2 per business per week. For me, that is a very small investment for our business community. In the absence of a tourism strategy, any events that we can get going in this Shire, I believe, is a win. I don't see it as a cost. I do see it as an investment. We've seen 84%, not 84%, we saw 80, help me out here, 87 businesses that were surveyed. Now, 27% of those are accommodation, 19% food and beverage, and 26% retail. So overall, 84% of those businesses supported the continuation of Targa. I did my own ad hoc research just a couple of days ago, speaking to a number of targeted hospitality and accommodation venues, and they agreed that it is a good investment, that they do get a return. It's not only over the week of Targa, but it is leading up to it. They do come back, they come before to do their recce's, and they do spend money in the town. I know there's been a criticism over the years that it's all Buller-based, but the Mansfield businesses that I spoke to say that they do get economic benefit from this event. That's why I'm supporting this recommendation, or putting forward this recommendation. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Sladen. Councillor Webb, do you wish to speak to the motion?
I will, thanks, Mr. Mayor. And Councillor Sladen has made a lot of the points I was going to bring up, so thank you for doing that. Gareth, this is a really excellent report, very clear, easy to read. Particularly interested in just seeing the return on investment reporting that's been done. And I know there has been questions in the past about the ROI. We've been getting the ROI figures we get from Targa, and it's good to see that Mansfield Shire has done its own work in this space as well to verify that there is a solid return on investment for the comparatively small amount of money that council invests in the event. As you said in the report, Targa teams reported spending more than $470,000 in Mansfield Shire for one particular event. That's a massive return on investment for the $40,000 odd that we invested. That's all circular economy. That goes to our residents. That goes to people who run businesses in our Shire. It allows these businesses to employ more people, and the circle goes around. So I'll leave it at that, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Councillor Webb. Any other councillors wish to speak to the motion?
No, sir.
In that case, I'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour of the motion? The motion is carried. Thanks, Mr. McDonald, for your attendance.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Item 18.3.3 is the council appointed representation on committee. The first committee is the Mansfield Shire Audit and Risk Committee. Councillors, can I have a recommendation in relation to this committee? Councillor Rabi.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. The council nominates the following councillors to the Mansfield Shire Audit and Risk Committee, being Councillor James Teahan and Councillor Mark Holcomb.
Can I have a seconder to that motion? Councillor Webb. All those in favour of the motion? The motion is carried. Thank you. Item number 2 is the Chief Executive Officer Employment Matters Committee. Can I have a recommendation, please, councillors? Councillor Rabi.
Doing all the heavy lifting here. The council nominates the following councillors to Chief Executive Officer Employment Matters Committee. Mayor, Councillor Tian, Councillor Mark Holcomb and Councillor Steve Raby.
Thanks, Councillor Raby. Can I have a seconder to that motion, please? Councillor Holcomb. All those in favour of the motion? The motion is carried. The next is the Australia Day Awards Committee. Can I have a recommendation? Councillor Holcomb.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I move the motion that council nominates Mayor, Councillor Tan and Councillors Holcomb and Raby to the Australia Day Awards Committee.
Thanks, Councillor Holcomb. I have a seconder. Councillor Webb. All those in favour of the motion? Motion is carried. The Goulburn-Murray Climate Alliance. Can I have a recommendation for that committee, please? Councillor Raby.
The council nominates Councillor Rowan Webb to the Goulburn-Murray Climate Alliance, GMCA.
Thanks, Councillor Raby. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Sladden. All those in favour of the motion? Motion is carried. The Hume Regional Local Government Network Committee. Can I have a recommendation, councillors? Councillor Sladden.
The council nominates Mayor Councillor Tian to the Hume Regional Local Government Network.
Thanks, Councillor Sladden. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Webb. All those in favour of the motion? The motion is carried. The Municipal Association of Victoria Committee. A recommendation, please. Councillor Holcomb.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. The council appoints Mayor Councillor Tian to the Municipal Association of Victoria, and point 2 appoints Deputy Mayor Councillor Raby as substitute council representative to the MAV.
Thanks, Councillor Holcomb. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Webb. All those in favour of the motion? The motion is carried. Rural Councils Victoria. Can I have a recommendation, please? Councillor Raby.
The council nominates Mayor Councillor James Tian or Councillor Paul Sladden to Rural Councils Victoria.
Thanks, Councillor Raby. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Webb. All those in favour of the motion? That motion is carried. Item 18.4.1 is the schedule of meetings for the next 12 months, December 22 to November 23. Councillors, can I have a motion in relation to this item? Councillor Raby.
Excuse me, Mr Mayor.
Yes.
Can we actually ask questions of the author of the report?
We can, yeah, for sure. Sorry, I'll go back. The responsible officer is, I was just on a roll there, sorry, and I just...
Yeah, you were, I know.
That's good, you know.
Sorry.
That's fine.
Sorry to interrupt your flow, Mr Mayor.
Very good to be pulled up. Responsible officer is General Manager of Community and Corporate Services, Miss Dina Bleckett. Any questions for Miss Bleckett? Councillor Sladden.
Thank you for the opportunity, Mr Mayor. Ms Bleckett, acknowledging that we seem to have more people involved by live streaming these council meetings. However, now that things are sort of calmed down a bit, do you ever see us coming back and meeting face to face and perhaps moving the meetings around the Shire to our outlying communities to give them an opportunity to attend in person? Surely in this day and age, as many other of the 79 councils in Victoria, where they do have it face to face are still able to live stream. The technology is there. I'm just wondering why we are doing everything on Zoom. Thank you. That's my question.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So going in person or face-to-face is definitely an option. Given discussions previously in relation to governance rules and the engagement that we did with the community, the feedback was that holding them online did give a broader ability for people to attend the meetings online, and also there was a sustainable part to that. So with time, travel and those sorts of things, but we can certainly bring that to council meeting for consideration, whether we want to have face-to-face. Hybrid is a little bit more difficult with the technology that we have at the moment, but we are also through the RCTP transformation project and our digital transformation strategy, we can certainly have a look at what we can do with hybrid going forward. Hope that answers the question.
It certainly does answer my question. Thank you, Ms. Flecker. That's all, Mayor. Thank you.
Councillors, do we have any other questions?
Well, my only question, Mr. Mayor, would be whether anyone here can foresee the future with respect to another COVID outbreak and what the government may or may not do. I know it's a loaded question, but that's that's why we've got what we've got at the moment. So
we all get vaccinated, we should be right. That's a loaded answer to a loaded question.
Is there any more constructive questions of Ms. Fleckett? If not, I'd now like to I'd ask councillors for a motion in relation to the schedule of meetings. Councillor Rabi.
thanks, Mr. Mayor. The council adopt the proposed meeting schedule, the Mansfield Shire Council from December 2022 to November 2023.
Thanks, Councillor Rabi. Could I have a seconder, Councillor Sladden?
No, it's not. I'm just flagging an amendment, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we have a recommendation from Councillor Rabi. Do we have a seconder to Councillor Rabi's motion? We do. Councillor Holcomb. What is your amendment, Councillor Sladden?
The council adopt the proposed meeting schedule for Mansfield Shire Council from December 22 to November 23 and investigate possibilities of hybrid meetings.
Councillors,
just a point of order, Mr. Mayor,
yeah,
on a governance issue here. I think, don't we have to vote on the proposal that's gone through first?
We do, Councillor Rabi. That's what I was just about to do. So
stealing your thunder there.
No, that's all right. That's all right. So we have a motion in front of us, which Councillor Rabi has proposed and Councillor Holcomb has seconded. So all those in favour of that motion? That motion is denied. Councillor Sladen, do you have an alternative motion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. And that is the council adopt the proposed meeting schedule for Mansfield Shire Council from December 2022 to November 2023 and investigate the possibility of hybrid meetings.
Thanks, Councillor Sladen. Do I have a second to that motion? Councillor Webb. Councillor Sladen, do you wish to speak to the motion?
Look, I just think it is important to offer the opportunity for members of the communities to actually attend these in person. Simple as that.
Thanks, Councillor Sladen. Councillor Webb, do you wish to speak as seconder?
Yes, just to say it would be good to have the opportunity to go to some of the outlying communities with our council meeting as well.
Thanks, Councillor Webb. Does anyone wish to speak to the motion? Does anyone wish to speak against the motion? Councillor Holcomb.
Yeah, I'm very much, I think on Zoom is far more efficient use of our time and a far more efficient use of the executive's time. And I'm very aware of how much time goes into this from the executive point of view, and particularly the hours. We get far greater visitation to this on Zoom than we've ever got anywhere close to it on face-to-face. So I'm very happy with how it works at the moment. And it gives far more flexibility for all of us to attend, whether you're an executive or councillor.
Thanks, Councillor Holcomb. Anyone else wish to speak to the motion? In that case, I'll put the amended motion.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, I get the right of reply.
Yeah, you do. Yep,
Thank you.
certainly do, Councillor Sladen.
Okay, nothing's more flexible than having a choice. So flexibility will be allowed for, and flexibility will be increased by having a hybrid motion. As councillors, we get paid an allowance to do our work. So, you know, whether it's easier for us or not is not the issue. Again, staff, it's part of their job description, they get paid as well. It's worked well for the 10 years that I've been on council. So I don't see why we should just get rid of it altogether, because it's easier to sit in your lounge room or wherever to do the meeting. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Councillor Sladen. I will now put the amended motion to a vote. All those in favour of the motion? All those against? Well, the motion is carried. Thanks, councillors. Item 18.4.2 is the council Christmas function early office closure. The councillors, do I have a responsible officer? Is Janique Snyder, but I don't think she's coming in. Councillors, do we have any questions about this?
No.
Councillors, can I have a motion in relation to this, please? Councillor Holcomb.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. The council endorsed the closure of its offices, including community services, youth and family services, visitor information centre, library and field services for the period between 12:30 and 5 p.m. on Friday, 2nd December 22.
Thanks, Councillor Holcomb. Do I have a second to the motion? Councillor Raby. Councillor Holcomb, do you wish to speak to the motion?
No, apart from the fact that saying I hope the staff really enjoy Christmas party, I think it's a really important time of the year for all staff, and it's fantastic to get them all together under the one roof, so to speak, in the one function. So I hope you all really enjoy it.
Thanks, Councillor Holcomb.
You've earned it.
Thank you, Councillor Holcomb. Councillor Raby? No, in that case, I'll put the motion to a vote. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Council meeting resolution action status register. Can I have a recommend motion, please, councillors? Councillor Webb.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Motion being that council receive and note the Mansfield Shire Council meeting resolutions action status register as at 14th November 2022.
Thanks, Councillor Webb. We have a seconder. Councillor Holcomb. All those in favour of the motion? Motion is carried. Item number 22 is the closure of meeting to members of the public. Can I have a recommendation, Councillor Webb?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Motion being that council close the meeting to members of the public under section 66(2)(a) of the Local Government Act 2020 to consider confidential reports in accordance with section 66(2) of the Local Government Act 2020 for reasons set out in section 19 below.
Thanks, Councillor Webb. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Holcomb. All those in favour of the motion? Motion is carried. We will now move to the confidential part of the agenda, and we will be back at the end of that.
Getting you up,
Okay,
Steve, are we?
councillors, we are
Only
now
just.
we are now back live in the public meeting. So I'd just like to announce to the public who may be still there and have waited that council has awarded a lump sum contract to Boral for the amount of $579,885 for the 2022-23 resealing and crack sealing program, with a 10% contingency amount. So congratulations to Boral for winning that contract, and we look forward to working with them there. So without any further to do, I'll now close the November meeting of the Mansfield Shire Council. Thank you for your attendance. Thank you for the officers. Yeah, we've got everyone here, and hopefully next November we'll be in warmer conditions than this one. I've never known a November day to be quite like it, with apparently 30 centimetres of snow or close to it on the Alps, and freezing conditions here. So it's a amazing climate we live in. Anyway, thanks all for attending, and I wish you all the best for the rest of the evening. Good night.
Right.
Good night.